Oh. Oh. Damn it. Feels like my head's gonna explode. Wait. Where the hell am I? Looks like an elevator, but...
No, this is one of the AB rooms.
Ah! Who the hell are you? And what the hell's an AB room?
Damn. I guess you did lose your memory after all.
Memory? Memory. I remember. You're Phi. She grinned. When is
Check your
this?
bracelet.
It's a red pair. BP is 3.
Mine's the same.
Does this mean this is the beginning of the game? We've gone back to when we first woke up in the AB room.
No, not quite. I think we woke up a little earlier this time.
How do you know?
Push the buttons on the side of your bracelet.
2 hours, 15 minutes.
We didn't wake up this long before the primary doors opened last time. I think we're about an hour early.
Wait a minute. If you're right,
Akane might still be alive. We got back before Dio killed her. I think.
then
Right. We're here for one reason.
to stop her from getting killed.
Exactly.
Let's move. We need to get out of here,
You need to
fast.
tell me twice. Let's go.
Okay, so this should be easy as we've already solved this. Alright. We don't need to look there. This is our past, remember? That means we're just repeating history. You see what I'm getting at? The password for the safe should be the same one we got earlier. Exactly. Now, hurry up and open it. Ah. We don't have to do all that. You need to remember the password for the safe. We figured it out last time. Okay. So it's sun, sun, moon. Okay. There, it's open. Good work. Hurry up and grab the cracker. Cracker? Ah, damn, I meant key. How the hell? Just shut up and do it. It was right here, wasn't it? Yeah. All right, let's just put this key in here. For God's sake, just do it already. No need to yell. All right. Good. Looks like that worked. Ready, Phi? What do you think? I know. I don't need to ask every time, right? Then why the hell are you asking? Hurry up and... Right. I'm going. 10, 9, 8, 1, done. Hey, You pushed the button! Bite me. You were taking too long. We're on a schedule here. Ugh. Phi and I climbed up through the hatch and out onto the top of the AB room. It took us only a moment to spot them. Akane! Behind her was Dio. He was moving quickly and quietly, a knife glinting in his right hand. Shit! There was no time to yell to her. I scrambled down from the top of the AB room. Phi wasn't following me. When I looked back, she was still standing on the roof. Phi? What the hell are you doing? Get down here and... Before I could finish, she moved. She ran across the roof, launched herself into the air. What the...
He's fine. Just unconscious.
I bent down and held my fingers in front of his mouth. He was still breathing.
I don't think he saw me. He probably has no idea what happened to him.
Guy went down like a sack of
He
potatoes.
had it coming.
I heard footsteps come to a stop right in front of us. I looked up.
So you came. I've been waiting for you. You're here to hear the rest, right?
Wait. Just wait a minute. What the hell is your deal? How can you be so calm? If we hadn't shown up just now, you'd...
Have been stabbed in the heart by this young man and died. Yes. Although, that reminds me, I haven't thanked you yet. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate you saving me.
That... What?
Hold on. How do you know about being stabbed by Dio? Are you an Esper too?
Yes, indeed I am. I am able to jump through time, just like you.
Then what the hell were you thinking? If you knew he was going to stab you, why were you going to let him do it?
Because I had to.
You what?
Think back. Why are you here? If I hadn't been killed by Dio, no one else would have been murdered. Consequently, your own abilities would never have manifested. I did explain, didn't I? The purpose of the AB project was to send the two of you to the past. Or your minds, at least. In order for that to happen, some death was necessary. When a human brain is faced with danger, its processing speed increases. Information is processed more quickly, and time almost seems to slow. A few seconds can feel like an eternity. Unfortunately, that in itself isn't enough to send oneself through time. The amplitude of the consciousness is simply too small. In order to increase the amplitude, we need to slow down the brain before the increase happens. It's a little like a slingshot. You pull back on the rubber band and then let go. The potential energy you stored in the band is released and converted into kinetic energy. That's what fires the bullet out of the slingshot. Now, while a slingshot can only fire in one direction, your mind isn't similarly limited. When the bullet of your consciousness is fired from the slingshot of your brain, it travels past the three-dimensional world and into the four-dimensional one. From that perspective, time is no longer fixed. In other words, you can travel to the future, the past, whenever you like. Your consciousness has been released from the three-dimensional cage. In order for that to happen, I had to infect you with Radical 6.
Whoa, what?
We're infected with Radical 6?
Yes. Don't you remember, Sigma? Luna should have told you about it in another timeline.
Are you sure? Infecting all of these people with such a horrible disease?
Every single one of you has been infected. Well, apart from Luna, of course. Unfortunately, it was necessary. We needed to slow your minds in order to store up your potential energy. Then we provided a dire situation that would accelerate your processing speed. The result is what you are now experiencing. Your consciousness now occupies four-dimensional space-time. Even that, however, wasn't enough. You had the ability to travel, but your memories could easily be lost during the trip. If the project was to succeed, you had to be able to retain everything you learned in each reality. That was the reason you were forced to jump so many times. With each jump, your ability to remember improved. Eventually, you would be able to retain everything. That is why we made you play the A-B game. That was why you had to select different chromatic doors. By forcing specific choices, we could cause you to make more jumps.
I get it. I think I finally understand. Well, okay, there are a lot of things I don't understand, but all of what you've just told me makes sense. You did all of this so that Phi and I could jump through four-dimensional space with our memories intact, right?
Yes.
But why did you need us to do that? People have died for this. I mean, let's count how many different ways people died. Murder, antimatter explosion, suicide. I've died, so has Phi, so have you. So why would you do all this? What does it matter that Phi and I jump through time?
Haven't I told you? Death was unavoidable. You are all destined to die. Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
I already know all that. What I'm asking you is why? What is so goddamn important and that it's worth all this?
I'm sure you'll figure it out eventually.
What? Just when is eventually?
In a future not very far from now.
Bullshit. That's not good enough. Why can't you tell us now? Instead of answering, Akane knelt down next to Dio and picked his knife up off the floor.
I'm going to keep this with me.
Don't change the
But
subject.
it's almost time.
What are you talking about? We've got plenty of time.
No. In a few moments, you'll return to the original timeline.
What?
This is the way it has to be. Don't fight it. Logomorph.
Yes.
Logomorph?
You call him Zero Jr. His official designation is Logomorph. Logomorph, this is an order. Unlock my bracelet.
Compliance.
Everything is in place. I have put the bracelet onto Dio. All we have to do is place his body in the 5th AB room, the second one from the right.
That's the one Quark is in, right?
Correct. I will move him. I will also put your bodies back into the 3rd AB room. Once that's done, I will reset its puzzle to an unsolved state.
Why do you need to do all that?
Recreate the history that you remember. Your consciousness is about to leave your body and return to the future. Your body will be emptied, and your other consciousness will jump back in. If your bodies aren't back in the 3rd AB room by then, it would be bad.
So you're saying some version of us is going to wake up in that room and repeat the same history again? Well, I guess this could actually be our 2nd or 3rd time.
You are exactly correct. Lastly, I'm going to leave this with you.
She paused and pulled something out of her pocket. It was a small key attached to a string.
I'll tie it onto your ankle so that you won't lose it. All right, Sigma?
What's it say on there?
Tu fui ego eris.
It's Latin. It means, what you are, I was. What I am, you will be.
Yes.
What am I supposed to do with it?
It will help you meet someone who's very important.
What?
Go. Return to the future. You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you. Now hurry.
Wait. I still... Another destination. Okay.
Looks like you're awake.
Is this the infirmary?
Why are we here?
Do you know what happened at the AB gate?
Kay and I went back to the infirmary, but...
We waited and waited, and the two of you never returned.
So we went to the warehouse to check on you.
We found you passed out in front of the AB rooms.
Kay and I hurried back here with you.
I looked over at Phi and met her eyes. Do you remember what happened just now?
You mean what happened a long time ago?
Yeah. You got him pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I remember all right.
Hey, what are you guys talking about?
Quark!
What am I, top liver?
Alice!
Back among the conscious and not psychotic, huh?
Yeah, thanks. Grandpa told me what you did. Thanks for finding the medicine for us.
No problem. All in a day's work. Although, I wouldn't mind a little swimsuit
You're
action.
grabbing at straws here, aren't you?
Hey, I wasn't talking to Quark. That was an offer for Alice.
Not really my point.
Oh, whatever. Forget about
gotta do is open the number 9 door.
Huh?
What are you talking about?
Look at your bracelet.
It says 10. I have 10 BP.
I've got 15 BP? That means I got 6 more points while I was out.
But how?
You've been asleep for more than 2 hours. We've played the AB game 3 times.
3 times?
Of course, the color and group assignments were shuffled around each time. But no matter who voted, everyone chose Ally. And now all of us have enough to leave.
I was stunned. How had everyone cooperated long enough to raise all of our BP past 9? Was it because Akane hadn't been killed? Without a death to start things off, maybe we'd been less suspicious of one another. Or could the bombs have had something to do with it? We'd all joined forces against Dio, and Phi and I had been able to disarm all of them. All of us had banded together against a common enemy and overcome a tremendous threat. Perhaps that had strengthened our bond. Which, I had to admit, would be somewhat ironic. After all, Dio had planted the bombs that forced us all to work together against him. This must have been what Akane was talking about.
Haven't I told you? Death was unavoidable. Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
Come on, let's go! Let's open the door and get out of here!
Wait. What about him? After some discussion, we decided to leave Dio behind. Alice was the only holdout. She'd complained about wanting to take him back to her superiors, but after I mentioned they'd come back to investigate after we escaped and deal with Dio then, she reluctantly complied.
All right, let's get going.
Everybody ready? I'm gonna open it.
Yes, just get on with it.
Everyone else swallowed and nodded. I grabbed the lever and pulled it down. You didn't use the key.
The number 9 door has been opened. It will remain open for 9 seconds.
All right, everybody, let's move. I didn't need to tell them twice. The room inside was clearly a loading elevator. It looked sort of like a large plate on top of a huge pedestal. We ran to the center of the plate and turned around. The number 9 door stood wide open.
2, 1, 0. The number 9 door is closing. The number 9 door has closed. This ends the Nonary Game. Thank you for your participation. As the game is over, all doors other than the number 9 door have been unlocked.
Looks like we did it.
Yes. We should keep moving.
Beyond the door was a wide hallway that ended in a very solid wall. To the left, we found a very familiar-looking door. We pushed it open and went in. The pressure exchange chamber.
You know what this place is?
Yeah, sort of. This whole facility is pressurized, apparently. I think the idea is to keep the air outside, and consequently the virus, from getting inside. That means that if we want to go out, we have to decompress so we can match the outside air pressure. This room here is where you prepare for going into the actual pressure exchange room. You see all those suits along the wall? I figure we need to put those on and head to the decompression room downstairs.
Whoa! Hold on a minute. You're saying the air outside is full of that horrible virus?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Of course, according to Akane, we were all already infected with Radical 6, so the whole room seemed a little pointless.
Why? How did all this happen?
Did they...
No. That's not possible.
We've come this far. We can't turn back now. Let's go outside. There's no way to know what's really going on until we do.
All right.
No one else objected. We all donned the protective suits and headed downstairs to the decompression room. As soon as we were all inside, the process began. Through my helmet, I could hear the soft hiss of air being sucked out of the room. We stood there for several minutes, waiting for the process to finish. At last it did, and we heard the door begin to open. Beyond it was another decompression chamber. We repeated the process 2 more times before we reached the final door and opened it. The dead, bleak landscape wasn't a surprise for me. I'd seen it before in another timeline. The others hadn't, however, and although I couldn't see their faces through the visors of their helmets, I heard more than a few gasps over the radio. For a few long moments, we just stood there, astonished.
Where the hell are we? The desert, I guess?
I figured that out. I mean, which one?
I don't know, but I think I know what day it is. Look at the moon. It's red, right? That means today's the total lunar eclipse.
So?
Remember the astronomy magazine in the lounge? Well,
Wherever we were must have been far away from any city. The air was clearer than I'd ever seen it. And the stars. The sky was full of them. More stars than I'd ever seen in my life. I could even spot the hazy arm of the Milky Way. But the most striking feature was the moon. It was blood red and massive, much bigger in fact than I remembered it being. Then, as I watched, a black spot began to move across its surface. It was hard to see details, but it looked circular. The spot continued to move across the moon, heading for the right edge. What's that?
Well, the moon's shadow, actually.
The moon's shadow? I frowned. That didn't make any sense.
Zero told me to stay quiet. I think he was worried I'd spill the beans on his operation. He said if I didn't toe the line, he wouldn't just kill me. He'd kill Quark, too. And I agreed, like an idiot, and brought Quark with me. Just so I could see her. Such an idiot. So, that being the case, might as well start with this. I meant what I said before. That up there is the moon's shadow.
What the hell are you saying?
About it. If that's the moon's shadow, then what's it falling on?
That's Earth.
Yeah. It's not the red moon you get from a lunar eclipse. And again, this isn't a lunar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse. Anybody in the black spot down there is looking up at the moon, covering the sun.
What? No. No way! If that's the Earth, then where the hell are we?
The moon, of course.
I think the lower gravity would, clue them in on that.
This is the lunar surface. We were just inside a moon base.
Unless the suits, anchor them. I don't know.
No way. No, you've got to be lying. How do you expect us to believe that? This can't be the moon.
Yeah. That's pretty ridiculous. Besides, if this was the moon, how do you explain the gravity? The moon only has 1/6 of the Earth's gravity. So what's this?
She picked up a rock and dropped it.
See? That looked perfectly normal.
Yes, it looked that way.
Luna?
You were right about the gravity in a way. I was one of the people who knew this wasn't Earth. Well, I suppose I'm not people, if we're being honest, but
Excuse me? What?
please just listen. Alice, you were infected with Radical 6. Then we gave you the Excelivir, which cured you. The Radical 6 isn't completely gone, though. Some of its symptoms stick around for a while.
What symptoms?
Well, Radical 6 can slow down your brain's processing speed by the root of 1/6. It can take a while for your brain to get back up to speed. Every one of us has been infected. In other words, all of our brains have been processing information at a much lower speed. If you evaluated the root of 1/6, you'll get a number close to 0.408. That means our brains are running at something slightly less than half speed. As you said before, the moon's gravity is about 1/6 that of Earth's. The time that it takes for an object to fall is inversely proportional to the square root of the gravitational acceleration. Since the gravity is lower on the moon, that means the time increases. I guess that's a little technical. Let me give you an example. Say you drop an apple from a height of 4.9 meters. It will take approximately 1 second to hit the ground. On the moon, however, that time would be 1 second times root 6, which would be approximately 2.45 seconds. I used 4.9 meters because it matches up with the acceleration of gravity nicely, but it could be anything. The gravity constant is, well, a constant. You could drop something from 10 centimeters or 10 meters and it would be the same. Does that make sense? So now we've established that on the moon, things fall root seconds would feel like 1 second. 4.9 seconds would feel like 2. But it's not hypothetical. That's what's been happening to every one of us.
Wait, you're saying that's the reason we didn't notice the weaker gravity?
Are you sure you didn't notice anything? Think back.
Huh?
You and Sigma and Phi said something about it in the lounge. About how you felt weird.
It's kind of like my body isn't really mine. I'm sort of floating. Like that.
It seemed insane, but what Luna said made sense. In fact, it explained Phi's apparently superhuman strength quite well.
Wait, this is crazy. That can't possibly be Earth out there. Look at it. I've seen photos of Earth, and it's blue and green and beautiful. That thing is just red.
Before we get into that, I should probably tell you something. This isn't New Year's Eve in 2028. Today is January 27th.
In 29?
No,
Don't tell me. 30?
still no.
And just what year is this?
It's 74. 2074.
No. That's insane. That would mean we were abducted more than 45 years ago.
Blame you if you don't believe me. But it's the truth.
How can you be sure?
It's not that hard. Quark and I left Earth on January 23rd, 2074. Solar eclipses are easy to predict. We've known that there'd be one on the 27th for a long time. That's just science. Nobody can change that.
But why is the Earth red?
That's a long story. About 45 years ago, on April 13th, 2029, there were 18 annihilation reactors operating in various parts of the world. On the 13th, all 18 of them went up, all at the same time. The explosion was about 180,000 times as powerful as the atom bomb they dropped on Hiroshima.
What? Why?
Suppose it started a few months before that. The government had a test site for a future Mars mission out in the middle of Nevada. On December 31st, 2028, there was an accident. Well, accident doesn't quite convey the right sense of the thing. And the point is, Radical 6 claimed its first victims there, then escaped. Didn't take long for it to spread to the rest of the world. Like Luna explained, the virus slows your brain down. But eventually, it also makes you kill yourself. Pretty soon, the bodies started to pile up. Some people would take a dive off a building or shoot themselves in the head. You know, the classics. But for some, it was poison, or fire, or asphyxiation, or the noose. Plenty of people jumped in front of trains or cars. One pilot on a passenger airline drove his plane into the ground. Most forms of transportation ground to a halt pretty fast. That meant food couldn't get distributed, and thousands of people who weren't even infected died from starvation. Everywhere you went, there were just piles of corpses, covered in flies and rats and crows. I don't know what hell's like, but I imagine it's a lot like that.
Sorry if you hear that doorbell. It's not mine. It's next door.
Plants started blooming again, and the animals that hadn't died out completely began to reappear. Things weren't quite back to normal, though. It's been 45 years now, but there's still quite a bit of dust and ash in the air. That's what you're seeing. You know why a sunset's red? Well, this is the same thing. Blue and green light have short wavelengths, and they scatter when they run into debris in the air. Red light, on the other hand, has a longer wavelength, which means it'll get a lot farther when the air's dirty. So there you are. The Earth looks red because that's the only color of light that can make it through the atmosphere.
I was speechless. What could I possibly say? There was no reason for Tenmyoji to lie to us. So we were standing on the moon, looking at the Earth. It was 2074. But why? Why were we there? Why were we then? I was so lost in thought, I barely noticed Phi's approach.
Hey, Sigma. I think I figured something out.
A window popped up on the inside of my helmet with a whisper in the corner. She seemed to be using a circuit only we could hear. Yeah? What is it?
Figured out why there's an extra E.
An extra E? Oh, you mean the graffiti.
The one on floor B. I think it's an anagram, just like on floor A.
What's Anna say this time?
Damn it, Sigma. Knock it off. Memento mori if the ninth lion ate the sun. If you rearrange the letters, you get the man on the moon rules the infinite time. See? You need 6 E's to get that. So they stuck an extra one in ninth.
The man on the moon rules the infinite time.
I think it's a message for us from Zero Senior and Akane. Remember what she was telling us?
We created the AB project for one purpose: to transport the consciousnesses of two people into the past. Those two people are you, Sigma, and you, Phi.
So, what are you getting at?
My God, you're slow. You don't get it? They're saying we rule the infinite time. Infinite time. They weren't just talking about having us jump a couple hours. I think they're planning to send us back. Way back.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you think they're going to send us back 45 years?
Yeah. I'd bet on it.
So the ultimate purpose of the AB project is to send us back in time to that catastrophe Tenmyoji was talking
I
about.
think so.
That doesn't make sense, though. I mean, we came from that same time period, before it actually... So why bring us here and then send us back?
Well, Akane should be able to tell us the rest. Let's go pay her a visit.
Do you know where she is?
I've got an idea. Come on, think. Remember what she said when she gave you the key?
Tu fui ego eris.
The grave. The one in the garden.
Well, come on, what are you waiting for? Let's go.